Bloodborne. Bloodborne doesn't offer heroes. It offers survivors, scarred, broken, and barely clinging to their sanity. Nowhere is that clearer than with the Orphan of Kos, one of the most disturbing boss fights in gaming. But here's the thing, it's not evil, not in the way we usually understand. The Orphan isn't trying to conquer the world or destroy humanity. It doesn't even understand what it is. It was born from a corpse. Specifically, the mangled remains of its mother, Kos, a dead great one abandoned by a fishing village obsessed with forbidden knowledge. These people hunted and dissected a god for answers they weren't meant to have. And from that horror came something worse, a child that never should have existed. The Orphan enters the world screaming, swinging a chunk of its own placenta like a weapon. It doesn't speak, it just wails, loud, hoarse cries that echo through the nightmare, a dimension warped by grief, guilt, and madness. And when it attacks, it's not out of hatred, it's pure agony, lashing out in confusion and sorrow. You're not putting down a monster, you're ending a tragedy, a cosmic mistake, a living reminder of humanity's arrogance. Bloodborne isn't just dark because of its creatures or story. It's dark because it forces you to confront the consequences of curiosity, of meddling with gods, and of fighting pain with more pain. And when you finally slay the Orphan, there's no victory, just silence, because some nightmares were never meant to end. Berserk. Some stories are dark, but Berserk, it stares into the abyss and drags you down with it. In this universe, you're Gus, a lone warrior born from a corpse raised by cruelty and forged in blood. There was never peace, never comfort, only the sword. You survived battle after battle, fighting for nothing because what else is there? Until him, Griffith, a man who shines like a god, charismatic, brilliant, untouchable. He offers you a place in the Band of the Hawk, a brotherhood where, for the first time, you're not alone. You fight, you win, and for once, you believe in something. Maybe there's more to life than just swinging a sword. But Griffith isn't like you. He doesn't just want victory, he wants everything. A kingdom, a legacy, power beyond mortal limits. And when he loses it all, when he's reduced to nothing, he makes a choice. One that stains the world in blood. The Eclipse. A ritual where human ambition meets unspeakable horror. Griffith offers up his own comrades, your family, as sacrifices to monstrous unholy beings. Limbs torn, bodies twisted, screams echoing into eternity. He becomes Femto, an inhuman god. And you're left with nothing but rage. Rage so deep, so consuming, that it keeps you alive even when the world tells you to die. But here's the question. When you've suffered like Guts has, when you've fought monsters and become one yourself, what's left of your soul? Is it revenge, survival, or just the fact that you refuse to kneel? Berserk isn't just dark, it's brutal. It peels away human nature and shows you what's underneath. Desperation, ambition, the hunger for power. And how far will someone go to escape their fate? And in the end, you're left wondering, was the real monster ever the demons, or was it always the man who dared to dream? Silent Hill 2. What if you got a letter from someone you loved, someone who was dead? That's exactly what happens to the protagonist of the game, James Sunderland, a grieving husband who lost his wife Mary to a terminal illness. Except she just sent him a letter telling him to meet her in Silent Hill. So you go, and the moment you step into that town, something feels wrong. The streets are smothered in thick fog, the air is heavy with silence, no birds, no life, just an eerie void that swallows sound. The only company you have is the distant echo of your own footsteps. Then the static kicks in from a radio you don't remember picking up. Something is near, something is watching. Silent Hill isn't just haunted, it's alive, and it knows your worst fears. As James, you stumble through abandoned buildings, rusted hospitals, and nightmare corridors that shift when you look away. On top of that, dimly lit dwellings are overrun with noticeable signs of decay, and you can't see that far in the game. But it gets creepier. Hordes of cockroaches startle and scatter the beam of your flashlight as you make your way down each dark, decomposing path that winds you through an increasingly hellish other world. The enemies, too, have been dressed up in far more disturbing and disgusting designs. The most common type, the lying figures, which appear to have their arms wrapped up in straitjackets made of their own skins. There are also faceless nurses that twitch uncontrollably, mannequins stitched together in ways that shouldn't be possible, and then there's him. Pyramid Head, a hulking executioner dragging a massive knife, always lurking. He doesn't speak, he doesn't run, he just follows, waiting. But the horror isn't just in the monsters, it's in you. Silent Hill reflects your guilt. The deeper you go, the worse the dread gets. You uncover things about James, about what really happened to Mary, things you wish you never knew. And by the time you reach the truth, you realize what happened to Mary was all your fault. Because Silent Hill isn't just a town, it's also a punishment. Left 4 Dead. Some games let you be the hero. Left 4 Dead just wants you to survive. The game throws you into a zombie apocalypse where teamwork's your lifeline and the horde's your welcome party. Picture ruined cities swarming with the undead. Fast, nasty, and way too close for comfort. You and your crew blast through, praying the guy with the medkit doesn't trip. It's panic with a grin. Cleared the street? Cool. Here's a tank to ruin your day. Ran out of ammo? Hope you like swinging a frying pan. Every scream is a warning, every safe house is a miracle, and every door you open might be your last. The undead doesn't just chase you, they hunt you. Special infected lurk in the shadows, waiting to drag, pounce, and crush you when you least expect it. A smoker yanks you into the dark, a hunter tackles you mid-sprint, and a witch, well, let's just say you'll regret startling her. One wrong move and it's over. But that's the thrill. Pushing through together against impossible odds. There's no lone wolf hero here. Leave your team behind and you won't last long. Cover each other, share supplies, and pray your buddy doesn't panic fire a shotgun into a car alarm. Because in Left 4 Dead, the moment you let your guard down is the moment the horde breaks through. You don't just fight to live, you fight to make it into the next safe room, if you can. The Last of Us. The Last of Us Part 2 is an almost exclusively grim storyline with a heavy spotlight on revenge, hate, and self-destruction. It is exhausting and disillusioning in a way that the original is not. But here's how it all begins. The world ended on a Friday. You were just living your life when the news broke. People were getting sick. A fungus, something out of nightmares, turning humans into mindless, violent monsters. Within days, civilization collapsed, cities burned, governments fell, and the infected spread like wildfire. 20 years later, survival is all that's left. And you're Joel, a broken man who's seen too much, lost too much. The world took your daughter, your hope, and any shred of mercy you had left. Now you smuggle, you kill, you survive, because there's nothing else to do until her, Ellie, a 14-year-old girl who's somehow immune to the infection. She could be the key to saving humanity, but to you, she's just cargo. At least that's what you tell yourself. Together, you cross a ruined America, abandoned cities reclaimed by nature, empty streets littered with skeletons of the old world. But the infected aren't the worst thing out here. It's people. Raiders who kill for fun, cannibals who see you as dinner. A world where kindness gets you killed. You watch as Ellie loses her innocence, forced to fight, forced to kill, just like you. And by the time you reach the Fireflies, the ones who can supposedly cure the world, you realize the darkest truth of all. Saving humanity means losing her. And after everything you've done, everything you've lost, can you really let that happen? So you make a choice. A selfish, brutal, unforgivable choice. As Joel, rather than go through the same thing again, in which a member of the military would literally once more take your daughter away, you break the cycle. Kill a majority of the Fireflies insurgents and then flee with Ellie. Because in a world where hope is dead, love is the only thing worth saving. This, however, begins a vicious cycle of revenge and more misery. Spec Ops. The Line. War changes people. At first, you're just a soldier following orders. You are Captain Martin Walker, leading a small recon team into Dubai, a city swallowed by sandstorms and cut off from the world. You were sent to find survivors, to locate Colonel John Conrad and his lost battalion. But nothing could prepare you for what you find. Dubai is a graveyard. Skyscrapers buried in sand, streets littered with bodies. The silence is deafening until the screams start. The deeper you go, the worse it gets. You see things no man should see. Civilians massacred, soldiers turning on each other. Your mission was simple, but now there's no right or wrong, just survival. And the choices you make, they haunt you. You shoot, you fight, you push forward, but every bullet fired digs a hole in your sanity. The game doesn't tell you when you cross the line. Was it when you burned those soldiers alive with white phosphorus? When you gunned down civilians convinced they were the enemy? Or was it long before when you still believe you were the hero of the story? Conrad is waiting at the end of this nightmare. But by the time you reach him, you realize the truth. He's been dead all along. The voice in your head, the man you blame for all of this, he was never there. It was always you. Every horror, every atrocity, you did this. Spec Ops: The Line doesn't just tell a war story, it traps you in one. And when the dust settles, the real question isn't if you won, it's if there's anything left of you to go home. Fear and hunger. Some games test your skill, others test your patience, but Fear and Hunger, it tests your sanity. From the moment you step into the dungeons of Fear and Hunger, you realize this game isn't a game where you win, it's a game where you suffer. You are one of 4 unfortunate souls, each with their own reasons for venturing into this dreadful abyss. But it doesn't matter who you are, because once you're inside, the dungeon doesn't care. It only wants to break you. The air is thick with rot. The walls pulse as if they're alive. You hear distant screams, some human, some not. Every step forward is a gamble. There are no second chances, no mercy. A wrong turn leads to mutilation. A bad encounter means losing a limb or worse, your mind. Starvation, disease, madness. Death isn't a setback, it's a promise. And the worst part? The true horror isn't the grotesque monsters or the merciless combat. It's you. The things you'll do just to survive. Would you sacrifice an innocent for a sliver of power? Would you cut off your own leg just to keep going? Would you worship ancient forgotten gods knowing they see you as nothing more than an insect? There are no good choices here, only desperation. And by the time you reach the end, if you reach the end, you won't be the same person you were when you started. Fear and hunger isn't just dark, it's cruel. It doesn't scare you with cheap tricks. It makes you feel what it's like to be powerless, to be broken, to be truly afraid. Because in this world, survival isn't a victory. It's just another day in the nightmare.